Hey, somebody's got to get the mongoose out of my office. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret.
Here, I'm going to use some common sense and all the wisdom I can muster to create measurable results for people like you and families like yours. I am the Professional Noticer.
Is this what it's like to be you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. I know our topics seem to vary wildly at times, but it's because the things you care about most are often greatly affected by the things you care about least. Therefore, we do often field questions about business and spiritual issues and popular culture, and we also tackle the odd conundrum like, if you meet a starfish in the wild, how do you know which hand to shake? My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by the new book out right now from Andy Andrews. I know that guy. The book is The Bottom of the Pool, Thinking Beyond Your Boundaries to Achieve Extraordinary Results. In this book, you'll find some great stories, laugh-out-loud moments, and a life-changing explanation of how to think beyond the boundaries of industry standards, best practices, and the forces of darkness that try to convince you that this is just how it's done. The Bottom of the Pool will take you on an incredible journey to the foundation of thought regarding the results of your personal and professional life. That's The Bottom of the Pool. Available now, wherever fine books are sold. Observations and answers. Yes, that is what we do here. I deliver observations, but you provide the questions. Questions, as you know, are a critical component of the person you and I aspire to become. Always remember the quality of your answers can only be determined by the quality of your questions. And I would love to field a question from you. Either write me. The email is theprofessionalnoticer@andyandrews.com or call 1-800-726-ANDY. That's 1-800-726-ANDY. And listen, if we use your question, we'll send you your choice of the Guided Traveler Experience. It's 8 hours of a live video seminar. Or you can choose the 100-Year Parenting course. It's a collection of 53 videos, each between 10 and 20 minutes. It's life-changing, but very fun stuff. So, here we go. This week, our first question is from Art. He's from Georgia. Let's listen.
Hi, Andy. A friend of mine is the COO of a successful company. She worked her way up the ranks to this position over the course of 42 years. Another lady, the chief financial officer, was recently found to be violating some corporate rules. The organization began to quietly audit her. When she caught on that she was being audited, she ran to a former president of the board of directors complaining that my friend was not capable of running the company or the organization. When the facts were presented to the current board, even though the bylaws of the company state that what she had done was a termination offense, they did not fire her. By expressing favoritism to this executive team member, the board has now made my friend unsure of her own job. Last week, the same executive team members was caught again using a company credit card for outside purchases after being called on the carpet for the excess charges, but again not fired. She is now claiming a hostile work environment, and the human resource officer and the president of the company are involved. When you have a person on your executive team is running the board behind your back, what do? My friend's work record is impeccable. The results of her efforts have been recognized, and her loyalty to the company is unquestioned. But she has now found herself in a troubled situation? What advice can you give her? Thanks.
Art, thank you for the question. And I appreciate very much you calling in with the question, just that you're watching this happen to a friend of yours. You're watching this happen in another setting of your own. And I appreciate you thinking through this and sending in what has happened. And I would love for other people to do exactly what you've done here with other issues in their life. Sometimes when things are not quite so personally involved, we can get to the heart of this pretty quickly. You know, I'm not trying to save your feelings or anything. We're just going to dive in. Your friend, in my estimation, is guilty of nothing except being a little too nice for her role in the company. And I understand this because I have done the same thing in the past several times. And I have watched this happen in corporations more than a few times. And, you know, I'll start with the last thing you said. You said that your friend's work record was impeccable, and the results of her effort have been recognized in the past, and that her loyalty to the company is unquestioned. And now she's found herself in this bad situation. You know, if you look at this lady, she worked her way up, through all the corporate steps, all the things she had to do over the course of 42 years. And now she's the chief operating officer of a very successful company. And yet, some bozo has her in a situation that's taking her contentment. It's taking the time that she would otherwise be effective for the company that she's the chief operating officer of. So what happened? I'll tell you what happened, then I'll tell you what could have been done, and you'll get a great idea of how you and I should deal with this in the future. Okay, now understand, it's still hard for a nice person like your friend to do what I'm going to suggest. But first, let me tell you exactly what happened. If we go to the bottom of the pool in thinking on this, see, a lot of people would look at this and it's kind of a surface situation. They've seen it before, they've heard it before, and yet, what do we do? Because it seems obvious what has happened, but they don't really know. Let me tell you what has really happened at the bottom of the pool. If you think all the way down, what has really happened is that your friend watched a situation unfold that was it was under her purview. It was in the scope of her leadership. If she is the the COO, she's the chief operating officer, then the chief financial officer falls within your friend's leadership role. And she saw this happening because obviously they were quietly auditing the chief financial officer to make sure that there weren't more things. I mean, and I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is embezzlement or, having sex with a coworker in a closet. I don't know what it is. All right. But whatever it is, the company bylaws said, if you do this, you're gone. Okay. Well, your friend allowed this time to go, but this other person was quietly audited. And it sounds to me as if the first person that went to the influencers in this situation. Now, one of the influencers is a former president of the board. Okay, he still has huge influence with the people on the board because he's friends. He was the leader of the board of directors. And so evidently, the first person to tell this guy anything, the first person to tell some other people anything about what was going on, the first person to tell him was the bad guy, was the chief financial officer. She is the one who went and said, this is what they're doing to me, and I can't believe after all I've given to this company that somebody would accuse me of this. And yes, I did a little bit of this, but I certainly did not do everything they're accusing me. Do you want to want? Well, you go a level below that. Now let's get all the way to the bottom pool. Here's what happened. What happened is that in any situation like this, the very first person to be heard is what kind of becomes reality in everybody's mind. And it sticks. And it's hard to get rid of. All of a sudden now, instead of having, instead of having the whole story, the influencers have whatever story was told, and they have to live with that and go with that. And then they have to go through a process of having that refuted, having that overturned in their minds. And so it makes it really hard for a good guy to come in, and all of a sudden the good guy's the one that's on defense. The good guy's the one having to prove that what all this was said. Here's a great example. If you and I were longtime friends, and we were eating in a cafe for breakfast, and some person came in, and I said to you, hey, Art, be really quiet and don't look right now. But the guy who just came in, he looks very old, right? He was actually a prison guard in a Nazi prison camp in World War II, and he was involved in the torture of Allied prisoners. And, it's something that's kind of going through the hoops that they're jumping through to see about his extradition and everything. And then you would look over at him and go, oh my gosh. And then 30 seconds later, I could say, hey, Art, I was just kidding about the Nazi stuff. And you go, what? I'll say, yeah, I just made that up. I just made that up on the spot. There's nothing. He's not a Nazi. He wasn't a prison guard. I don't even know who that guy is, really. And you might think, you're out of your mind. What are you doing? Okay, but here's what would happen. Even though I told you immediately that what I said was not true, every time you see that guy in town, every time you see him, your first thought is Nazi prison guard. I mean, I'm telling you, this is just human nature. And so the first one to get to them is what puts a stamp in their mind. And so what good guys rarely do, because they just kind of want to get everybody the benefit of the doubt, and they don't want to cause a ruckus, and gosh, they're busy enough as it is without all this crap, and so we'll just quietly handle it. That's what they do, and they end up like your friend. Okay, and so what should have been done, and what we should do in the future, is when something like this is seen, and something like this is being investigated, but obviously, to put an audit on it, they already caught her. They already knew that she had done all this stuff. So they're auditing. But your friend, as the chief operating officer, did not go to her boss, the president. Obviously, did not go to the Toby, the human resources person, the HR person. Didn't go to the president, former president of the board, and didn't go to the board. And so everybody, it seems, the first thing they heard was the bad guy's explanation. And so now there's been a complaint. Now the bad guy's going hostile work environment. She's after me. She's just after me. And now, the president and the HR people, they're in her office and, they don't really know. I mean, is she really after her? What happened? I don't know. But if she had gone to all of them at first and said, let me tell you what's going on. Here's what's happening. And here is what we're doing about it. And we've already caught this. And if you look, I've put a notation here in the notes for you about the bylaws, about how we handle this kind of thing. Now, we're going to go through the process here. But as COO, I'm telling you, this is what's happening. This is what we're doing. This is probably what we're going to have to do. And let me just tell you how she is going to react. What she is going to do is she is going to scream and moan, and that she's being attacked and that she's being singled out, and that, because this is the way this kind of thing happens. After 42 years in this industry and understanding this, and as COO, I not only know how to spot this kind of stuff, how to investigate it, how to take care of it, I know what these guys are going to do. And so you, president of the company, I don't know. She might make a complaint against you, and then you'll have to deal with him, the HR guy. I mean, she may make a complaint against the board. She may file harassment charges. So we don't know. But this is what people in trouble do. When we trap people like this is what they do. And so then, if your friend had done that, then when she filed a complaint and said hostile work environment and all that, I mean, first of all, if your friend had done that, they would have been able to fire her. They would have done it, okay, because they're already ready for it. All right, but if, assuming she wasn't fired, and so, she comes after somebody, she comes after your friend, she comes after, everybody goes, yeah, the COO said she was going to do this. And they're just ready for it, and they deal with it. And nobody else is suspected or anything, but you have to be the first in. There is a reason that college football coaches know that you got to score first. You got to get out there and score first, whether you're on defense or offense. You got to put it to them, and you got to score first. Get ahead of the game. Score first. All right. Thank you, Art. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, attempting to harness some common sense and wisdom so I can plow through some challenges all the way to an answer for you. This week, we're sponsored by the Bottom of the Pool, thinking beyond your boundaries to achieve extraordinary results. Hey, would you like to double your results professionally, financially? Quite a few companies, teams, organizations, and individuals already have by harnessing the power of the material in this little book. Would you like to dramatically increase your level of leadership? Would you like to see the relationships within your family move quickly to a place of peace and laughter? Okay, through interesting stories, the Bottom of the Pool is going to give you an understanding of how to create the level called best in every category of your life. The Bottom of the Pool. Our next question is from Alexandra. She's from South Dakota. Let's listen.
Hi, Andy. My name is Alexandra, but please just call me Alex. I have a problem, and while it might seem like a small one, I think it's getting bigger and bigger. Here it is. I don't like to read. I know I should, and I know all the reasons why. Still, I don't enjoy reading, so I just don't. I haven't even tried to read a single one of your books. I've seen you speak several times and love this podcast. If reading is a critical part of a person's growth in life, and I don't like to read, what do I do? Thanks, and sorry to be such a downer.
Alex, hey, I like that name. I don't know. I've always liked that name for a girl. And so I'm glad you said, call me Alex. So, Alex, you're not a downer. You're not being a downer. Maybe you're being a downer for yourself. But since we're sponsored by the book, The Bottom of the Pool, Thinking Beyond Your Boundaries to Achieve Extraordinary Results, I'm going to take you on a trip very quickly to the bottom of the pool. Take a deep breath. We're only going to be down there for a little bit, but you're going to have to struggle hard to think beyond your boundaries. And when we get through thinking through our boundaries, you're going to have a map for you to create extraordinary results. Now, what would be extraordinary results in your life? I think extraordinary results, if we put the result out there right now, the result would be, wow, Alex is reading. She's reading every day. Wow, Alex is reading. Now, coming from a person who just doesn't read and doesn't like to read and hasn't read a single one of my books, which is fine. But, coming from that place, creating a result of Alex reading would be extraordinary, right? Okay, so your boundaries right now, we're supposed to, you're still holding your breath, and we're trying to struggle to get below the surface because that's where everybody else is. Everybody's on the surface. I don't like to read that much. I don't read much. I don't read. Since I got out of college, I only read professional stuff. When I got to school, I swore I'd never read again. I mean, I've heard it all. So telling me you don't like to read, Alex, get in line. You're the 500th person today that has told me that. I mean, not really, but all right. You still okay? Still okay? You can let a little air out, but we're fixing to kick down. We're going to kick below your boundary. And so to think beyond your boundary is, I don't like to read. I want you to understand this. Whatever you tell yourself or say about yourself is like molasses in your hair. It's just there. And you can't get it out. Now, you can get it out, but you have to go to extraordinary efforts. You're going to have to get some heavy-duty shampoo and stay in the shower for an hour, washing your hair 5 times. You can get it out, but if you just pour the molasses in your hair and just kind of walk around and try to comb it out and try to brush it out, you're just going to walk around and say, I have molasses in my hair. I just have molasses in my hair. I can't do this. I have molasses in my hair. Now, it's a stupid example, but it is an example of somebody just living with something that they kind of think this is part of your life. You just kind of think you are this person. And because you have decided you are this person, I mean, listen to what you said. You are this person. So you said, I don't like to read. I don't enjoy reading, so I don't. I haven't even tried. I don't like to read. What do I do? Okay, the first thing you do, kick down, we're going down. The first thing you do is quit telling yourself you don't like to read. If you want to be a person who reads, which obviously you do, or you wouldn't have called. Okay, and you already know reading is a critical part of a person's growth in life, but you don't like to read. Okay, well, if you know it's a critical part of growth in a person's life, then you're wanting to do it. Okay, first step, quit telling yourself you don't like to do it. Just stop. Just stop telling yourself that you are a person who doesn't like to read, that you've gotten to this age and you've studied yourself enough that you know what you are and I don't like to read. And so somehow you got to make something else stick. Now, at this level, we've kicked down to mid-level, and at this level, most people would stop and say, well, obviously the answer is I'm just going to start telling myself I do like to read. Okay, well, that's just not going to work long term. Because you're going to say, it's just like me telling myself, I don't like red beans and rice. I just don't like it. And so I don't like it and I don't try it. And people say to me, oh, you're crazy. You should love it. Everybody loves it. Here, try it. Well, I don't like it. All right, try it. I don't like it, But nobody's ever sat down with me and said, okay, and you just start telling yourself you do like it. Well, I could go, okay, I do like it. But in my mind, I'm going, but I really don't. Yeah, I like red beans and rice. I'm a person who loves red beans and rice. And my mind's going, not really. This is kind of silly because I just don't like it. Okay, so you can't just tell yourself that. That's what people tell people to do at this level. But kick down. Let's go down a little farther. What if you could logically think to a way? What if you could get to the bottom and pull and plant your feet on the foundation of what you might like about reading? How would you think about it in a way to change your thinking? And yes, I said that. See, this is thinking beyond the boundaries. This is thinking down to the foundation. So I'm not just talking about changing your thinking. I'm talking about thinking how to really change your thinking. I mean, you just got to go down until you are at the concrete and you have the feet on the bottom. And you can push up into a different you. Okay, so let's look at this logically. You're saying you don't like to read. Now, I would ask you this question. Do you like to fish? Okay, there are people who, if I said in a crowd, if I said, who doesn't like to fish? And there would be a lot of people raise their hand. And if I started talking to them and I said, no, wait a minute, you don't like to fish. Are you telling me that you can stand on the end of a dock with a cane pole in your hand and a kid by your side, and that bobber starts kind of jerking, and the kid's going, oh, it's coming, it's biting, oh, and then that bobber jerks around just a little bit and then starts pulling away, and the kid goes, oh, I think he's got it, and then the bobber goes under, and the kid goes, pull, and you pull back, and man, that pole is bending over, and that huge fish is splashing out there, and the kid's screaming, and you're yelling for somebody, get the net, and you net this fish and hold it up, and the kid's just in orbit. You're taking pictures with the kid. You tell me you don't like that? And the person who said they don't like fishing said, well, I like that. Yeah, I like that. But I just, just going fishing and just, I don't, and see, they never really thought about it. And so what I can say is, oh, so what you're telling me is you don't like waiting. You don't like standing in the sun for several hours waiting. And they go, well, yeah, okay. But the fishing part, you like that. Yeah, okay. So, you go fishing with Adam. Adam doesn't wait. My son Adam, he and his buddy Dylan, they're doing Gulf Coast Nation charters on the beach. I mean, they're charter fishing on the beach. Gulf Coast Nation, charters on the beach. No seasickness. You can order a pizza if you want to. And I'm telling you, they catch fish. I mean, you catch anything from pompano to they bring in sharks. I mean, literally big sharks right off the beach. And then have these, cornhole games there and order pizza or grilled steaks. And you tell me you don't like fishing? That's fishing to them. And if they're not catching anything, they go somewhere else and they catch them. So you're telling me you don't like waiting. But when we get down to the bottom of the pool, you really do like fishing, don't you? Okay, so same thing, Alex. You're telling me you don't like to read. What I would suspect is that in the past, you have read a few books here and there that you didn't really like. So what I am saying is, Alex, you do like to read. You like to read just as much as I like to read. I don't like to read boring stuff either. And sometimes I'll get into a book and I'll go, this is crap. Or I can't even keep my mind on this. Or, and I put it down. I'm through. But that doesn't mean I don't like reading. That just means I don't like reading boring stuff. Okay, well, you don't like reading boring stuff either. But you like to read interesting stuff, and I can prove it to you. Are you telling me that you have never read something that you then forwarded to every friend you have because it made you laugh out loud? Are you telling me that you've never read anything that touched your heart so much that you went and helped, or you sent it to somebody who could help? Are you telling me you've never read anything that kind of brought a tear to your eye, or never read anything that made you laugh out loud? Of course you've done all these things. And you were reading interesting stuff that touched you. So what I'm saying is, Alex, get something that's interesting. I mean, I'm just telling you, as a writer, I write for people who don't like to read, because I didn't like to read. And when I'm saying I write for them, I want somebody to be interested on the first page. And so sometimes I give my books to people who say, I don't really read. And I say, okay, well, I'll make a deal with you. Read the first 10 pages. And if you don't like it, use it as a doorstop, or scrape the ice off the windshield of your car, or use it as a clay target. Throw it out there and shoot it, But read the first 10 pages and see if you're interested. Alex, you do like to read. So now you can, if you understand what we went to the bottom of the pool with, if you understand this, thinking to think, now you can honestly say, wait a minute, I do like to read. I do like to read. I like to read. And you can say that to yourself without that little voice down there saying you're lying to yourself. I mean, you can say that to yourself and know you're saying it with authenticity, and you will change your own life. People say to me sometimes, oh, this book changed my life. And I'm like, yeah, thank you so much. But see, I know my book is not going to change somebody's life. My book is like a hammer. A hammer does not build a house. And a book doesn't change somebody's life. Now, is a hammer a tool that you absolutely must have to build a house? Yeah. Okay, so are there books with information in them that you absolutely need to have? And if you don't have it, your life is not going to be what it could be? Yeah, there are books like that. And they're interesting. And find them, Alex. And the next time you pick up a boring one, even if it has the name Andy Andrews on it, throw it aside and start with something else. Okay? All right. This was great. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a good time. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing the mental energy that I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk. Shake hands with the kids you meet. And make sure you have an answer to the question, when a mime is arrested, do the police still tell him he has the right to be silent? And so, until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limpert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Bumper stickers provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by the Association of Absurdly Loud Muffler Owners. Yes, friends, the Association of Absurdly Loud Muffler Owners is dedicated to creating incredibly obnoxious levels of sound from otherwise ordinary motorcycles and cars. The ear-shattering noise the association will help you create is sure to grant you the attention you've always desired. You want to enter your driveway in the quiet of the night and blast your neighbors out of their beds? Do you believe it's fun to scare little children? Heck, is your hearing already gone anyway? Join today and be served by our skilled craftsmen who construct each muffler with precision, love, and big vibrating things. So get on down to one of our many locations and be heard today. That's the Association of Absurdly Loud Muffler Owners, giving you some idea of what the fires of hell must sound like.